Moving on here on Sports Medicine Weekly on this Saturday morning, Dr. Cole got an interesting guest. How many former athletes have you worked on or been associated with that wind up going to medical school?
Oh, Steve, you think about the statistical probability. It's hard enough to get into medical school, so that's like, 0.0001. And then take a professional athlete and you multiply the two from them both to happen. You might as well buy a lottery ticket. I have one friend who was a professional skier, and he's in Park City, Utah. But I'm going to tell you, it's extremely, very, very rare. And I have plenty of players who think they're doctors.
Yes,
okay,
of course.
when we have issues in the training room. And I've learned a few things from some players, but it's pretty rare.
Well, let's bring on Emmett Cleary. And Emmett grew up in Arlington Heights, St. Viator High School, played football there, also played at Boston College, and then he played for seven NFL teams, including the New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, Detroit Lions, over a 5-year NFL career. He's now a second-year medical student at the Keck School of Medicine at the University of Southern California. He's at USC. Emmett, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Wow. So we want to learn all about the transition from playing in the NFL to going to medical school.
But, Emmett, let me ask you a question. In college, college as a football player is brutal, and most of the times they don't take majors like a hard science and things like that. In fact, when I went to University of Illinois, most of my pre-med classes were the psych classes were full of the athletes, just because it was so difficult. It's such a difficult, just for me, I had very few distractions sport-wise, and I could do it on my own. You were a biology major, right?
Yeah.
How, just with all the travel and all the commitment, what did you do to get the grades you needed? And obviously then you had to take MCATs. Did you take MCATs after the NFL, or did you take it before?
I took it after my senior year of college.
Okay, so you stayed on course and then you went to the NFL.
Yes.
What is the secret? If I have a lot of students who come through, do years of research, try to get into medical school, keeping the grade point up is brutal when you don't have football. You add football into the equation. I honestly can't even imagine. What's your secret?
Part of it, had to cut some corners at some points in the fall.
Sure.
You're working 60 and 70-hour weeks, so you're just not going to have the time to be in the book as much as a lot of your classmates. You obviously had to make up some labs in the spring. That's kind of, I would load my schedule in the back end during spring ball. But it showed. My GPA was not, commensurate with how I did on standardized tests, and it really just, the time is what takes it out of you.
Did you have this game plan laid out that, hey, I'm going to keep playing football after college, but I'm going to sort of get to the point where I could apply to medical school with the MCAT and everything else?
Yeah, honestly, I've wanted to be a doctor since probably before I was playing ball. Way back when, kind of always thought that this was the big picture goal, and football kind of happened for me after that. I got good and realized I might have a chance at it. So went in as a biology major, did well enough to have a chance, and then football was kind of tough to turn down. So I played for 5 years, and then always had this in the back of my head, though.
Did you have to retake the MCAT again, or you could still use your score from before you started playing in the NFL?
I did not. So I took the test it was the old one. It was a 4-hour exam in July of 2012. And then actually applied during the 14-15 application cycle. So initially got in to be a member of the 2015 class here, first-year class. And then deferred three times.
Perfect.
So that's
awesome.
Not how I would suggest everybody do it.
Right.
But,
the fact that they let you do that's amazing. Then you've got something in the bag, because going back to it again would be brutal.
Oh my God, I couldn't imagine sitting that 8-hour test now. I'm kind of staring down studying for the boards next spring, and that it's been a while.
Visiting with Emmett Cleary, former NFL player, now attending medical school at the Keck School of Medicine at USC. I'm Steve Kashul with Dr. Brian Cole. So what'd you learn, Emmett, about your football career that may have influenced your decision to retire from the NFL and then go into the medical practice?
I kind of always wanted to get into medicine, but you're saying in terms of when I decided to hang it up?
Well, what did you learn? Were you paying close attention to the team docs and that when you were playing?
Oh, I was. I was lucky in that I never had any major reconstructions or anything. I was kind of always dealing with chronic fingers and ankles and low back and stuff, but never had the big one. So I was fortunate in that way. But yeah, you do pick up little pearls. The human body is just an amazing machine, and kind of learning how to keep everything in good working order and kind of fine tuned is part of the job of being an athlete. So, the more you can understand your own machine, the better off you're going to be in your own career. So I picked up a ton of stuff. Now, having been at this for about 14 months, I feel like I would have been a much better professional just knowing what I know now about kind of the functions of your body. But, I thought it was amazing.
So when you were with the Giants, you probably met Russ Warren. My guess, yeah. So Russ, I trained in New York in special surgery. So Russ was probably one of the greatest mentors I ever had, and used to cover the Giants
talk about
games.
him out here too.
Yeah, and then you probably had Dan Cooper in Dallas. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also a great team doc. What do you want to be when you grow up? When you're done with all this, I know you have an interest in neuroscience. Are you interested in neurosurgery?
I think that stuff is fascinating. I'm not sure I want to do it as a career.
Yeah.
I'm 29. Neurosurgery is like a 10-year path, so I'm trying to work again before I got to retire again.
Yeah, understood. I can tell you, I was 34 when I first paid taxes, just to give you a sense. Okay, and I didn't have the break that you had. So You're right. You'd be pushing 40 by the time you get to cut skin.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been in on a couple of those procedures, and those are some of the most brilliant people on earth, but it's just a long road.
What are you thinking if you had to pick? I know it's still, you don't have to pick this early, but I'm just curious. Do you have any thoughts?
The differential is pretty wide right now. I like surgery. Every time I find myself in the OR, I really enjoy it. I like the gross anatomy lab. I like doing procedures, working with my hands. Emergency medicine is a really strong program out here, and I've given that a lot of thought too. But I don't know. I got to get on the wards in about a year and see what I like.
Yeah, you just you keep an open mind. You go through the rotations, and you never know what might strike your level of interest. If you're ever in Chicago, and is your family in Chicago?
They are. Everybody's. My family's in Arlington Heights, and still got a brother who's actually going through it right now, applying to medical school. He lives on the north side, so I'm back a lot.
Well, if you ever want to observe or shadow, and they have a very good orthopedic program at USC. I know a lot of those guys, but if you think it's something of interest and you're back in Chicago, we'd love to have you come visit.
I'd love to. Yeah, I shadowed actually with a Dr. Weber out here who
he
lectured a bit for us.
We trained him here. Yeah, great guy. Alex Weber, great guy.
I think he handles football out here.
Yep.
Visiting with Emmett Cleary. Emmett, former NFL player, now attending medical school at Keck in Southern Cal. Emmett, I know what the parents want to ask you. Any regrets about playing football? Numbers are down across the board. I was visiting with someone who yesterday, a neighbor who said, boy, you know what, our freshman class in high school, 23 players. What advice do you have for the kids, the parents out there worried about CTE and getting injured, the concussions, the head injuries, from what you've learned in your playing career?
I think the risk is substantial. It's more and more data is coming out, and you do kind of need to look at your participation with a critical eye. I'm kind of encouraged, to see people giving like youth flag football a chance. Having played at a high level, I don't think much is gained from playing full tackle football in second grade. There's not a whole lot of guys that like the difference between making it in the NFL is, whether you started in kindergarten versus first grade. So I am a little encouraged by the fact that kids aren't getting their heads hit as often as very young players. That being said, football is one of the best things that ever happened to me. So, as you need to be aware of any kind of chronic health risk, you take the information for what it is and make your own decisions with the best information you have. But great experience for me.
By the way, Emmett, our guest, is going to be on the panel for our Chicago Sports Summit happening October 2nd from 8 a.m. till noon at the Hyatt Regency Chicago. He'll be on the panel of Should College Athletes Be Paid? I'm going to be one of the moderators, and Dr. Cole, I know, is going to be you moderator too, Doc?
I'll moderate. I'm going to actually be on the panel for sports science, I think.
Okay.
It's a really good event this year. We have 4 amazing panels, and we all look forward to meeting you in person, and we appreciate you taking the time, especially being in medical school. I think a lot of our panelists are extremely busy, and there's lots of challenge for them to come do it, but I'm going to say that you probably will have the biggest challenge leaving in the midst of a semester, so I really appreciate you coming to do this.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it.
And tickets can be purchased at chicagosportssummit.com. Again, October 2nd, folks. It is outstanding. I've been to the last couple of them and have helped MC and moderate last year's. Be on the panel again this year, helping moderate. But again, October 2nd, 8 a.m. till noon at Hyatt Regency Chicago, something you don't want to miss. Some big names there, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Thanks so much, Emmett, for joining us here on Sports Medicine Weekly.
Steve, Dr. Cole, appreciate it.
All right, Emmett Cleary. Let's take a break. When we come back, Doc Cole and I with our staple of the show, our Ask the Doctor segment. You're listening to Sports Medicine Weekly, only on
670 The Score.